Hi everyone, this is Sumant from Decode Now. Welcome to this video where we'll be implementing logging in Java Spring Boot. If you want to understand the basic fundamentals of logging, why is it used, and also different levels and hierarchy of logging, please watch the suggested video on the top right of your screen. If not, let's continue with this video. Before jumping into the code, I just want to have a brief discussion on the logging framework that we will be using today, which is SLF4J. So what is this SLF4J? SLF4J is a simple logging framework in Java. It provides us with a simple and unified logging API for Java applications. So in the Java ecosystem, SLF4J is the most used logging framework. So it is very simple to use, and also it unifies the other logging implementations. So we can make use of other various other logging implementations just by using this SLF4J. What are other logging implementations? So we can plug into other logging implementations like logback, log4Java, and also Java util logging, which is JUL, by just using this one single logging framework without modifying our code. So it is very simple to use, and since it unifies all these other logging implementations, we can plug into all those things by just using SLF4J. So this is all about the logging framework that we will be using today. Let's jump into the code. So this is the Spring Boot starter project called logs application. For this, I've just used the project as Maven, language as Java, and the Spring Boot version is 3.1.1. I just changed the group name and the artifact name. The packaging is jar and the Java version is 20. There is only one dependency that I have used, which is the Spring Boot starter web. So this is the starter project that's called logs application. So let's look at the steps in order to implement logs in this Spring Boot application. The first step is we need to add two dependencies in our pom.xml file. So just let's add the first dependency. The first dependency is called as slf4j in small, slf4j API, and this is from group ID org.slf4j. This is the first dependency which helps us connecting with the simple logging framework for Java application. So it helps us with connecting to this particular logging framework. And the next dependency is called as logback classic. This dependency also helps us in adding the logs to our application. Let me just load the Maven changes. That is the two dependency which I have added. So now it's loaded successfully. After adding these two dependencies, the next step is to add some configurations in the application.properties. So this application.properties will be present inside the resources. Just go there. And the first configuration that I would like to add is something called logging level. So I would say logging level dot root equals info. Info is one of the logging levels. So logging level dot root. What I mean by this, whenever I mention something like root, it says that apply this particular logging level, which is info, for the entire application. We can also mention different logging levels for different packages. That can be done by saying logging dot level dot. Let's say we should pass in the package name that we want to have a different log level, and provide the different log levels such as let's say warn or error or something like that. But for this demo purpose and for this application, I would set the logging level as info for everything in the application. And the next configuration that I would like to add is something called logging.pattern console. So this is just the pattern that I would like my messages or the information to be logged into in the console. This is just a pattern matching. So these are the two configurations that we have to mention in our application.properties. The first step was to add these two dependencies, the SLF4J API and the logback classic. And the second step is to add these two configurations, which is the logging level and the logging pattern that we want to be printed in our console. After this, let me just create a class and give it a name as logs. So under this class, I would like to add one method, a public method, and its return type is void. It would not return anything. It would just log the statements and information. And the name would be something like just for logs. It accepts no parameters. And inside this particular public method, we would be adding all the log statements. Before that, I would like to import a few packages. I would say import org.slf4j dot logger factory. This is one package, and the other package is org dot slf4j dot logger. So these are the two packages that we need to import, because we would be creating an instance of type logger by using a method called get logger, which is present inside this logger factory. So that we would be doing inside the class. I would say something like private static final, and the type is logger, and I would just give the name as logger itself, which is equal to logger factory dot get logger. So we are using the get logger method present in this logger factory, so we are importing that there, and inside this parenthesis we will have to pass our class name. For us it is logs dot class. So this creates an instance of logger by for this particular class, which is logs, and that's the name is logger. So we can use this particular object name saying logger dot info, and we can say this is an informational message. So this should print saying something like this is an informational message in our console. In order to call this, let me just go to my main class and say I'll just create an instance of the class, which is logs. I'm just creating an object of class. So with the help of this particular logs, I'll just call the just for logs method. I'll say just for logs. So now whenever I run my application, which is this main application, logs application, this will call the just for logs present in the logs class and print this particular statement, the logger.info, in our console. For that, let me just run the application. If you can observe in the console, the last statement is this is an informational message, which is the exact statement that we have present in the we have given it in the logs. So let me just add some more statements. Let me stop the application. I would add some more statements like logger dot error, and I would say this is an error message, and also I would add a debug log saying logger dot debug, and say this is a debug statement. So let me run the application and see whether all these three statements gets logged or not. So if we observe here, I can see this is an informational message. So logger.info is working as expected. Then I can also see this is an error message, which means that logger.error is also working as expected. Why can't I see this particular logger.debug? That is because the debug log level lies above the info log level. What I mean by that is, in this particular application.properties configuration, we have mentioned the logging level as info, but the logging level debug lies above info, so it excludes all the logs that is above this particular log level. If you want to understand more about this hierarchy and logging levels, I have explained it in detail in the suggested video on the top right of your screen. Please do watch that. For this debug to work, let me change the logging level to debug and then rerun my application. Now we should be able to see all the three logs, because the the info and the error lies under debug level. So as you can see, now the debug statement is also getting logged. So this is all about logging in Java Spring Boot. First we have to add the two dependencies, the SLF4J API and the logback classic. Then the configuration and the logging level we need in the application.properties. And just we have to import this logger factory and logger and create an instance of logger by passing in the class name in the get logger of logger.factory. And then just add the log statements wherever required. So this is all about logging in Java Spring Boot. If you have learned something new, please do subscribe to our channel and support us. If you have any questions, suggestions or requests, please do let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to like the video. See you in the next video.